Okay, here we are with another Saturday Night Live Zoom in June 29th of 2019. Um, we're getting some really nice weather here in the Toronto area, 28, 30 degrees in the last few days. Thank goodness for some nice heat. um, so, you know, we're just discussing a little bit about is the insanity of wanting to eat ever going to go away? No, not in this realm. We're surrounded by food. If you go maybe live in a cave in the Himalayan mountains, you'll not be worrying about that stuff. But living with and working with people that are constantly eating, you're going to have to deal with it. And you either understand this is a lifestyle that you live and love, and you're continuously working on it to master it, or you don't. There's no in betweens, really. Um, we can, you know, do fasting as an event, which most people do, and they believe that's going to change their lives. They're going to go get a little experience of a fast, but they'll never really understand what fasting is. You know, it took me many years to really have an understanding of what fasting is. And fasting is the lifestyle. Fasting itself is the lifestyle. Instead of an eating lifestyle, we live a fasting lifestyle. And, you know, like I say over and over, I love to eat, but I love fasting way more. So I continue to eat and I continue to fast over and over and over and over. And when we eat, we try and choose the least obstructive foods. Do we do that all the time? No. But when you take full responsibility for yourself, you know the consequences, and it's okay if you're okay with that. That's your free will to choose that experience. But it's never going to go away. The urges to want to eat things. Um, you know, even when I was raw for almost a decade, 100%. In that time frame, when I look back, I never really craved anything cooked. It's because when you stay away from cooked completely, um, it your body doesn't want it. So as you introduce more obstructive foods in your diet, you'll want more and more obstructive foods. It's just the name of the game. The more you drink, the more thirsty you get. The more you eat, the more hungry you get. It's a total flip side of everything we've been taught, and that when you're hungry, you got to eat. But no, when you eat, you get hungry. That's the problem. This is the challenge. I mean, and it's when you come to that realization, you learn to control and master it little by little. Nothing wrong with eating, but the challenge is that in today's modern societies, we're surrounded by so many things that are called food that are not even food. And, oils, for example, these extracts of fat from plants and etc. And some of them are synthetic. Putting these things in your body is absurd. They just completely plug up the whole delicate energy system, the lymph system. And to get that stuff out, it's no easy task. Once you put it in the body, it's going to take time to work out of your body, especially if you've been eating it for decades. If you look at where is it? Sardinia, which is part of Italy. they have a very high life expectancy, and they don't consume olive oil. If you look at the life expectancy of Italy, it's only taken down because of the main part of the country in the boot that consumes a lot of the oil. The Sardinians, they don't consume oil, and their life expectancy is one of the highest on the planet. So, they do eat, dairy and fresh fruits and so on and so forth, but they drink wine, grape juice. Most of them make their own wines, especially the older generations. But the thing is that we have to look at what are we looking for and what are we after when we're dwelling in this type of lifestyle. I see most people coming to the realm of MFS to fix a problem that they couldn't fix because they've been jumping around from diet to protocol to this to that, the detox from left, right, and center, and they can't solve their problem or running back and forth to doctors, specialists, and so on and so forth. And they come here to fix a problem, and they're looking to, fix their diagnosis and so on and so forth. And we don't want any part of that because there's no such thing as that in this realm. These are all fictitious entities that the big pharma has made up. And if you want to live that lifestyle and give that energy, you're going to be stuck and be spiraling out to more and more confusion in that realm. We leave all that behind because we know it's absolutely absurd to give those things any energy when you have the new understanding that only the body can feed, hydrate, build, balance, and heal itself through soul from source. And once we start gaining that new understanding, all the nutritious stuff and everything, throw it out the window because it doesn't mean anything. It's just a whole fallacy made up by some white jackets that think they understand the whole of creation and how the body works and so on and so forth. We don't have a clue. We have no clue how this physical body works. We believe we do, but we really don't, because we're looking, mainstream science is looking in the physicality of things in that matter state, small window. And when you're looking at that, you're looking at only the effects of what's actually happening, and you miss the boat on what's really going on. So just when you put in your consciousness and through long digestive vacations, through the experiences of fasting, you start to come to a new understanding that there's something else out there that's giving me energy. I know it's not food anymore, because how can I be going, so many days and I have more energy than I did when I was eating? And that starts to happen. And when you do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, your programming starts to change and your belief system starts to change. It doesn't complete, all the old stuff doesn't go away. It never does. But we little by little, we gain more and more trust that we're accessing energy from different sources, and it's infinite, all the sources. So this is what we're doing when we're dwelling in this fasting lifestyle. It's being conscious of accessing these different forms of energy. So we can use matter, food, which is the absolute, I don't even know if you want to call it a form of energy, but we'll call it a very low form of energy, because actually when you're eating physical foods, it takes energy from your body. People believe it gives you energy because as soon as you put food in your mouth and swallow it, the detoxification stops. And that's why people feel better, right? When you're going through detox, meaning healing reaction, so on and so forth, it's not fun. But that most people interpret it as, haven't eaten. I'm missing something. I'm missing some minerals, some vitamins, some nutrition, blah, 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 blah. And the story goes. So we, we have to, we don't have to, but we choose to start retraining ourselves with this new understanding of how things, we believe how things function, because we really don't have a clue. We can make assumptions, and through the experiences, we gain a new understanding and a knowing of things, because the evidence is there. Like I like to say, the answers are in plain sight. So as we were talking before, Judith, this is something that we choose to love, because if we don't love it, we're not going to do it. We're just not going to stick with it. We're going to find all the excuses of not to do it. And that's what we've seen over and over and over with people. I've been at this 3 decades, and I can tell you out front, most of us are liars when it comes to, healing. I'll do whatever. 99%, they don't follow through. They'll do whatever, and then they go off. And I don't hold anything against anybody. It's just that's their experience. That's what they choose, and it's okay. But the beauty is that when you do decide to live this type of lifestyle, everything's possible. We've seen the miracles happen over and over and over again in just short periods of time. Can you imagine when you've done this for decades? What happens? Everything completely transforms, and you'll really come to a new understanding. Anyway, we've got some people here. Hello, everybody. I'm just blabbing on. Anybody want to share some stuff, ask some questions? That's what we're here for. We have Giorgio's tomorrow afternoon on Zoom. He's been around for a while. He's a young chap. It's nice to see the young people getting involved in fasting, because if they follow the trend of what's happening with the diet out there, it's not going to be a good future for them. Look at what's happening. The genetic weaknesses are getting worse and worse and worse every generation, and diseases, whatever they want to call them, are prevalent in children these days, and babies that you've never heard of. So if we don't make some changes, I don't see any good outcomes coming. The stuff that I've been, what's the word I'm looking for? Presented or experienced with people is not nice. It's not pleasant, especially when you see children with crazy things happening. And then and the other thing is with children in this society, going natural is totally against you. So you have to really be strong and take charge of your situation, and maybe move out of big cities, and if you really want to work with a child and so on and so forth, because everything will be against you legally, and society and people, and et cetera, because the whole programming out there is to go to the white jackets and big pharma and so on and so forth, and they will force you at gunpoint. Sad, but true. Many people have had their children taken away from them, so we don't want to talk about children in public. Do it on your own, and if you want to do something, and be very prudent of who you speak with. Children, they heal very quickly, from what I've seen. The more age we add on to ourselves, it takes a little bit longer, but Doesn't matter. Everything's possible. Doesn't matter the age. Just takes a little bit longer. So we have, what do we have here? We have Inga, Susan, John, Joy, Chrisia, Steve, Scott, Sarah, Fabs, Connie, and Judith. So guys, what's going on in your lives? Anything you want to share? I'm not going to be here blabbing myself.
Yeah, I have something to share. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, nice to see you again, Scott.
Yeah, Gino, it's really good to see you too. Really, honestly, missed the group a lot, to tell you the truth. It's kind of funny. I just got overwhelmed. Like literally, now when I'm coming back and you guys keep talking about the mirror of truth, and when I started reading more experiences and just more people encountering essentially the same thing that I encountered on my master fast. But the first one was overwhelming. I have to say it was overwhelming emotionally, and I wasn't quite prepared. I mean, it was almost more overwhelming post fast, than during the fast.
Yeah, as you know, you've experienced it. The transformation is so massive physically and emotionally, but the emotionally thing is, whoa, what's going on now? When we go back to food, right? And because most people think that they're going back to their regular eating schedule of whatever, 7 days a week, whatever. And this is not what we've ever talked about, but people do not interpret it properly. They just can't see that because this is not what's being sold out there. What's being sold out there is consume, 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 right?
And no, that's absolutely right. And the funny thing is, I'm only like, it's 4:00, 4:20 my time. I started this at midnight today. But the amount of stuff that has just come out of me out of day one, I'm just like, holy cow, man. It's incredible. Your body just remembers it like riding a bike. So I'm actually really excited for this journey because I feel like I'm in a better place. Not quite so emotionally unstable. And I feel like, I don't know if anybody else has gone through this when they make a transition from eating food to just going maybe even to a vegetarian diet or raw and then fasting. But it's like you have a handful of foods that you're like, oh, no way in hell I can ever give that up. There's no way I can give up that food.
Exactly.
It's just too key to my existence right now. And I mean, I just wasn't ready to let go of that, to be honest.
Just on another note, how's your feet doing?
Okay, well, let me just tell you about my feet. Okay, my feet.
Because you had a major situation, and you shared with us, and you've overcome quite a bit through just one long fast.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, Gino. At the end of last year during Christmas, we decided to take all our kids up to Hawaii for a family vacation. Okay. And of course, when we're Hawaii, it's amazing, right? You're in the sun all day. You're on the beach. I remembered you just telling me stories about people burying their feet in the sand and everything. And this was around, so December, January of this year. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the week that we were there, my feet were completely pain-free again, which hadn't happened except for on the Master Fast. And once I saw that window open again at the beginning of the year, I knew I had to start preparing my family to start fasting. And honestly, that's been one of the hardest things getting back on the Master Fast, was just sitting here helping my family to understand, look, I don't think you guys really understand. With this foot pain situation, there's no real solution in the medical community. And not saying that there's many solutions anyways. I'm just saying, even if I wanted to go on prescription drugs, my options are trying to take pain medications, which did not work for me. The pain medications didn't touch my foot pain. And, just for people who might be listening to this the first time, I did do a water fast of 20 days or so before doing the master fast. I did juice fasting. I attempted to do, eliminate certain types of foods for a while just to see if eating food would help me heal. And nothing has done it like the master fast. Now, and so to answer your question more directly, right now my feet are in pain again. That's no surprise to me. It's like no surprise. You just go back to eating crap. You're going to get junked up, clogged up again. And so it's just like, Scott, how many times are you going to have to go through this where you get to a place where you're like 75%, 80% pain-free. And then because you're in emotional overwhelm, you allow the whole thing to collapse again, go back to your old eating patterns, and the stuff comes back. I mean, I don't know, the last few months, I've really been thinking in terms of fields and field strengths. And, disease or sickness is the weaker form of the field manifesting itself. All it's really saying to you is there's something interfering with the way your field should be. And until that leaves, that condition won't, it won't reverse itself. It won't, whatever you want to call it, won't go away. And I'm pretty confident in that now. I wasn't as confident before, but now I'm really confident. So I don't know. I'm not making any crazy goals like I'm going to abandon my whole entire diet and become raw vegan and all this other crazy stuff. I think there is a place for massive goals, but I think for where I'm at right now, the best thing I can do is just take it day by day and be in the moment and make this transition to whatever that means, whatever my soul kind of guides me to. And so that's kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen like lately, when it's been, I don't know, a couple months or so or more, that we're telling people don't do 108 days. Which you're not ready for it. Choose one of the new levels of the MFS. First start off with maybe 4 to 6 weeks, which is up to 40 days to clean out a bit, and then choose a level that you're going to live by. Meaning, if you choose level 3, it's like doing 3 days a week of full MFS and 4 days a week of eating clean, or 5 days a week or 6 days a week or whatever. But you're going to have your eating lifestyle and your fasting lifestyle are intertwined permanently. And this is what we've been always saying, but we have to put it in and spell it out so people have a better basic understanding. Because 108 days, I'm all for 108 days. Everybody should experience 108 days, but you need to be ready. You'll never be the same after you do 108 days. You've done even longer, Scott. I can't remember, 130 or something.
Yeah, it was around there, 132, 130, yeah, something like that.
When you start getting into 60 to 90 days, there's a lot of changes that happen in the psyche, on the emotional level, that is very hard for people to grasp and take hold. So this is why we say mastering takes decades. What if anything? It's not going to happen in one fast. And people are expecting everything now, which you can go somewhere else. I don't have that for you. I haven't seen anybody being able to sell these quick fix things. I keep reading all this garbage out there. Rebuild your immune system in 3 days fast and on a weekend detox, completely clean yourself up. Yeah, okay, sure. I haven't seen.
And then destroy it Monday when you go back to eating, right? I'm not, maybe not completely, but it will happen. It does happen.
Like the people are sold so much false stuff, women in bikinis selling stuff, and all kinds of. It's just whoa. Where's the real stuff? And this is why, after many years of debating, that I really didn't want to share this stuff. Finally the universe kicked me in the butt and says, no, you got to share this stuff. And then, what comes along with social media, which I wasn't really ready for, is all a bunch of caca from people, right? Who, they know better, or, they're trying to whatever. But it doesn't matter. We're here for the few of the few of the few, and that's why we're still here 4 years later. And we've seen many, do a master fast, take off, come back 1 or 2 years later. I got to get back. Well, where were you? Why aren't you living the lifestyle? That's the first question. And there's a million and one reason, and it doesn't matter. But the whole thing is that we need to wrap our heads around about living and loving the lifestyle. Every week you have a schedule of how many days you're going to fast. Start off with, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever, and stick to that, and have your dry fasting schedule and so on and so forth. We're all going to fall off here and there, but who cares? We're going to be focused, and we're going to continue, and we're going to get back up and keep going. And that's the key and the name of the game. Living in this eating society that revolves around food, left, right, and center, upwards, downwards, inside and out, we're going to be confronted with food all the time. And these triggers, they're going to be there. So we have to learn how to deal with these things. And if we're going to, if we're going to indulge in it here and there, we're totally responsible. We're okay with, enduring the pain and suffering because we've made that commitment, and we're not going to kick ourselves and, feel bad about it. We're not going to feel our best, but we're okay because we have free will, and we've chose to go that route. But we know which route it is to feel the best. We know, especially after you've experienced a long MFS, we know how you're going to feel better. And it ain't going to be with any food or any diet. It's not going to happen with diet. We've seen, so many different scenarios of things, but when you look at the absolute magic that's happened in transforming people physically, mentally, emotionally in these long digestive vacations, it's just jaw-dropping. Like, it's just wow. And when I see this, I just keep repeating to myself, everything's possible, because we've seen the impossible happen in many, many cases. So, this is the beauty and is why I keep going. I've repeated this many times. I'm only here today alive because of a fasting lifestyle. I would not be here. I can assure you I would not be here if I did not continuously fast for the past 3 decades. I wouldn't be here. My body did not do well with food. And I made the choice to have fasting as a lifestyle 3 decades ago. I knew after I read Arnold Ehret's book that this is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. And many, many trials and errors of figuring out how to make it a lifestyle. And we continue. We continue to improve it as we go along, and we learn from each other of people going through the experiences. So this is the beauty. What do we got here? So yeah.
So I do have a question, Gino, and this might be, and it is a little more basic question, but one thing I noticed in my last master fast, I literally could not go above 2 tablespoons of the plasma pudding, even after 108 days. I will say this though, and I know I'm scheduled to do a thing on July 20th, so I'm not going to go into everything that's happened to me between the master fast and now. But what I will say is, my gut, I used to have, what do you call acid reflux, really, and horrible acid in my stomach. Sometimes, especially when I was in my 20s, I would just have to lay in bed because it burned so bad. After master fast, I haven't had one instance of acid reflux.
Still today.
Wow. Like, there must have been something wrong with my stomach that I was unaware of, or just the amount of crap that I put in there.
You moved out the cause of what was making you get that, right?
Right. So I guess what I wanted to say is, and I know we've talked about this balance between, drinking enough liquid and not drinking enough liquid. I mean, if you don't drink enough, you dry out. And if you're not clean enough, when you dry out, you run into problems. Okay, so I get that. And I definitely experienced that on my first fast.
Yeah.
But then even when I was bumped it up to like 2 and 3 liters, as soon as I would start going to 3 tablespoons of plasma pudding, it was just like it stopped moving through me, and I would have to just cut way back. Do plenty of enemas. I mean, I was doing enemas every day. I was following the protocol pretty regularly. It's just 2 tablespoons seemed to be my limit.
Okay. Well, you had a lot going on. Like you coming from a SAD type of diet, right? For many, many years. And what SAD diet does is just build a bunch of gunk in there. And the colon is just, it has pockets and all kinds of things. So when you're putting the plasma pudding, it's just not able to move through some of these areas. Is this time around, have you noticed the same thing?
Well, I just started out with 2 tablespoons, a tablespoon today. Oh no, or maybe 2. I was just going to see how that goes, but
see how it goes over the next week and see how you feel. But if you can't get over 2 tablespoons, I don't see a big problem with it. 2 tablespoons is plenty. There's many ways you can take it. How do you take it? Do you take it liquidly or do you take it dry? Have you tried different ways?
Yeah, I have. So I have tried to do the plasma pudding, and I know a lot of people really enjoy that. So I'm not trying to be like complain about it, but I couldn't do it. It just felt weird to me.
It's okay.
But I do it in a liquid. So I usually take like 1 to 2 cups of the grape juice, put the 2 tablespoons in there, and I shake it up in a jar, and then just consume it fairly quickly before it turns into a gel.
Yeah.
Or solidifies.
It's no big deal if it's too uncomfortable for you to move more than 2 tablespoons. I don't see a problem with it. So there's some people that are petite, they won't be able to do larger amounts. If the colon is very well formed and strong, you'll be able to do more. Just like with enemas, when you're eating, you'll be able to hold less water than when you're on a fasting state. After you've cleared out for a few days, a week or so, you'll be able to hold more water in because everything's moved out, so there's no more blockages. And that may happen this time around. I don't know. Just play by ear and go for it. But if you're on only 2 tablespoons and that's really all you can do this time around as well, don't worry about it. Continue with that. I just say, move up to the maximum 3-4 tablespoons if you can. But if you can't, some people have gag reflex with the plasma pudding. I don't know. I love the stuff. It's dessert.
No, it's maple syrup. Well, seriously, no. That's one of my major goals of this fast is to really change my relationship with the plasma pudding. I mean, I know for a fact that that's one of the things. I mean, that helped me so much in the last fast. Like that stuff absorbs so many toxins and just scrubs out so many different things. It's very
important part of the protocol. Like everything else, like we really need, God, after these 4 years of many thousands of people, the thing that was a kind of a, not really a shock, but a new level of understanding of how toxic humanity is today. It's way more than I ever thought. Let's put it that way. Way more. And that's why, it's better people start off slow. Unless somebody's in a really very unbalanced situation, they don't have much time left, then I would say do 108 days. But you need to have you need to be on this page 24/7. You need to be connected. You need to be on the calls. You need to be with a support system, or you're not going to be doing well once you break the fast. Guaranteed, 99%.
That's one thing I wish I would have done, Gino, like post-fast. Even when I was off the fast, I know we used to have, I don't know if we still have the Postmaster fast food like eating site, or if we just
we joined them all together with one.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but the reason for that just quickly is because we're dealing with food. Why do we have to separate it? It was getting confusing for a lot of people. No, we're eating and we're fasting, so let's keep it together, right? That's why we joined it.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'd like to say, I see Steve is on the call. I listened to his Zoom call, and I just want to say, Steve, thank you. A lot of the things you said on there, especially about addiction and especially about using a group of people to help you overcome when you're weak, or, that, I mean, it's key. And for me, I have a tendency to be a loner. Like I just, we flew as a family vacation, flew to New York City last week. I don't belong there. Okay. That's all I can say. I mean, it was a good experience. I love kind of visiting there, but it's a great place to visit. I don't think I could ever live there, but yeah, I usually tend to, being alone, I like to try to figure things out for myself. And, I'm going to be honest, sometimes that does get me in trouble. I mean, no single person has all the answers.
Nobody.
And sometimes when somebody is strong and you're weak, just being in the strength of their field is enough to elevate you.
Yep.
And I mean, that's something that I have discounted severely.
The stronger fields will always feed the weaker, and it goes back and forth. So that's why the support system is so crucial, and why I'm still here doing this, 4 years later, because without this, there's no MFS. This is the MFS. You need to have a support system. And, like what Steve has shared with us is exactly the same with alcohol as with food. There's no difference, right, Steve? Yeah, there's no difference. It's all addictions. Whether it's sex, drugs, alcohol, whatever, it's the same thing. Food is probably more addictive than anything else out there. I don't see people giving up food very easily. So we have to continuously work at it and be with people that are to this understanding that, and they want to make the effort and live a lifestyle that is healthy and more balanced than just pigging out all the time and feeling like crap and just trying to numb your pains out with more and more food, and it doesn't get us nowhere fast. It's not a fun place to be. If you did it very occasionally, it wouldn't be a big deal, but some people are getting into the binge eating and stuff. Binge eating is a scary thing, man. When people get into the binge eating thing, people can kill themselves. It's just like drinking too much water. People kill themselves drinking too much water at once. So, as I say, I've never seen fasting kill anybody, but I see eating killing people day in and day out all the time. So we have to continuously support each other and inspire each other, and plasma hug each other in the virtual world, because it ain't fun out there. I've been doing this 3 decades, and I can tell you it's harder now than it ever is because of this fast-paced society that we've come to accustomed to, and the instant gratification thing. That's what everybody's looking for. Everybody's looking for these what do they call stimulants, left, right, and center. And if you're getting out in nature with peace and quiet, something feels off until you've done it for, a few days a week, and then you just come down and get into it. And it's awesome because we're being bombarded all the time. And that's why it's much more difficult now than it ever has been for us to live this type of lifestyle. Unless you go seclude yourself in a cave in the Himalayas, we need to learn to deal with this stuff. So what's the best way to not be influenced? Don't go to places where these things will influence you. If you think you're missing out on something, then it's not lifestyle for you. Go continue to do what you've always done. Right? I don't have an answer for you. You want to go bar clubbing and be with your friends and go to restaurants and this.
I think there was a post recently where somebody was saying, maybe it was Ranjit or something. She was saying, you only suffer for as long as you have to or need to. And it's really true. I mean, I've suffered now a little more. I know I need to suffer some more. I mean, I wish I didn't, but I mean, that's just kind of where I'm at. I've kind of accepted that. But at the same time, though, one thing I wanted to say about that is, pain isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
And, especially now, I mean, like, at least in the States, you know, you have any little, headache or foot pain or something, and, you know, people want to get you on all sorts of like pain medications and stuff like this. But pain is a great teacher, in my opinion. I'm not saying that I want people to suffer at the hands of at the hands of any type of oppressors. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it's the thing that breaks you open. It's like cracking your shell. And I think that I saw that too on the internet. But, you know, it's so true. Eventually, you will get to that pain point. You'll just be like, I'm done with this. This is silly. Why do I keep doing this? And it will guide you down a new path. And the pain actually can give you courage. It can give you a lot of good. I mean, that's how I got through my first 108-day fast. Yeah. If I wouldn't have had such a painful condition on my feet, I don't think I would have done 108 days. I don't even think I would have sought out fasting, to be honest with you. So to me, the pain in my feet and the other things that have happened to me have been a gift.
Yep.
I never would have found this group.
Being bedridden for 2 years, it was an amazing experience. Amazing teacher, right? Pain is a teacher, and I wouldn't be here either without all that pain and suffering. It was amazing. You know, when I back
right.
up, with a different eye now, you know, I understand what happened. You know, back then it was, whoa, it was not fun, but you know, I at least I had that stubbornness, I guess you can call it, to say, there's got to be a better way. I ain't going that white jacket way, and there's just no way. I would have died. You know, I wouldn't have went. I just didn't go that route. They didn't have any answers that I'd like to hear. It didn't make any sense to me.
And you know, I think that's one of the reasons why I like this program, Gino, to be honest. I think if a program like this was made up to make money, or a program was made up like this just to simply detox people or have some kind of goal and physicality, I honestly don't think it would work as well as it does. And
it's not our motive, right?
Right. And I guess I would just, before you jump in there, I just wanted to say is like, that's available to us all. You know, just like you developed this protocol. I mean, I don't know how long it took you to develop it, but and I know it's constantly being refined, so it's not ever in a kind of final state. But that knowledge and understanding, once you start to listen to it and follow it, feeds back into you. And then you can see a path that you couldn't see before. Mm-hmm. And frankly, it's available to anyone and everyone who's willing to do this.
Yeah, like we've been approached by this, that, and the other thing to do retreats. What's it? Not that I'm going to put any of these people doing these things down or anything, but you go to these retreats, you feel amazing in a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. What are you going to do when you get home? And you know, the high starts coming down, and you're back to the same old triggers. Okay, then you go to another one, and you keep going through that same cycle. So why not, you know, live a lifestyle that you can master and do it anywhere? And, you know, you want to go to these retreats to have fun, meet people, great. You know, if that's what you want to do and blow your money there, sure. You know, if you support MasterFast, be great, because we can help more people. But it's just, I've heard every excuse in the book, because I've made all the excuses in the book, just like everybody else. So what do we really want? We got to face that mirror of truth. And what's the mirror of truth? Well, look yourself in the mirror when you're on these long digestive vacations, and you'll come up with all the answers that you're looking for, because nobody else is going to be able to give you your answers. You're going to find your answers when you get into long digestive vacations. 100%. You do it over and over and over again, and you're going to gain those answers. That's what happened to me, and I continue to get revelations when I do my fasting. So when I eat myself, it's just that information. I'm not connected to it. That's You know, and many people have shared the same thing. There's some people can do it when they're eating. I don't comprehend because I can't do it. It's not possible for me. When I fast, man, oh man, it's all, everything's opened up. Sarah, you have your hand out. Go ahead. You have to unmute, or you want me to unmute? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, did I do it? I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I'm at a birthday party, and so there's music and like a generator, and if it's too loud, you just like tell me to move. I'm super like nervous about sharing because I never have. But no, I just wanted to say, Scott, that I totally relate to whatever you're saying. You know, like trying to explain this to my family and my 2 young kids, and like why what I'm doing is important, because I've never, I guess I've never had, you know, like a big health problem. I do have, you know, my own set of labels, but most of them have been like in my head kind of thing, like depression, anxiety, ADHD, those kind of things. Mm-hmm. But as far as, I guess, what I would associate with like a physical ailment, I've never really had any. And so it's been really interesting for me to try to connect with all of those things. And my kids, you know, like watching their comprehension of it, like as, I don't even know what day I'm on, like 94, 95 or something. And I know you do not recommend doing the big one the first time around. I know. But I felt like for me, I had to, just because it was my way of like committing to it. And it's been really interesting to watch myself transform on so many levels, particularly emotionally, because I think that is that's been the hardest and continues to be the hardest for me, because I'm totally not in touch with that at all. But it was sweet. The other day, my 8-year-old son, he told me, like, are you done yet? And I was like, no, I'm getting close. What day is it? Well, I don't know. It was 90 or something. I'm not really counting. He goes, well, why didn't you just stop? Like, why is that so important? I mean, what's the difference between 99 days or 100 days or 102 days? And it's like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm so stuck on this number, because I get, you know, it's going to be a lifestyle now. But it was just interesting to see him kind of like his growth of knowledge behind everything that I'm doing. And he keeps saying he wants to fast, which the whole another thing. I'm not sure how that fits in like dealing with their health. They have way more health issues than I do, particularly my 5-year-old daughter. So having to tackle that, I'm not really sure. But how do you get kids to do this? And they don't fully understand when they're that young. But anyways, I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling. But I hear you, Scott, and everything that you're saying, you know, like, I get it. I just have to do it. And so coming off will just be the hard part to like continue it, like everybody says.
But you said you're on day 90 something?
Yeah, I'm on day 94, 95, I don't know.
Awesome.
So getting there. But I'm not a huge social media person. And so like even like on my Facebook page, like I never post anything. It's generally like I'm part of groups, you know, and I go to the group page. And so just me trying to like stay in touch, I think, has been a challenge. And I've had moments where I'm better about it. Like the last couple of days, I've been, you know, on the page every day and like rewatching the Zoom calls in my free time. But yeah, staying connected is such a huge help. To be surrounded by all the positivity and the like-minded people for sure. So, yeah.
Facebook is a platform for groups. There's nothing like it, right? So it's awesome to stay connected, with people on that. As Zoom is much better, but we can't be on this 24 hours, 7 days a week. So
Yeah.
But, Facebook is awesome for that. Instagram and the group friendly. They're just Facebook. So we use that platform. But as far as the 108 days, if you made your mind up to do that, which you're on your way, you just have to be totally 100% responsible and be very, very focused coming off of that, because everybody says they are, and the opposite. So you really have to come to the understanding of what's happening, because you're never going to be the same. You're already past the stage. 60, 70, 80 everything. And just be ready for anything and everything, and embrace it all, and be very focused. And choose one of the levels to live on and love it. Love it, love it, love it. Because if you go back to 7 days a week eating, you're not going to be a happy person.
No, I can't. Well, it's that, you say it again. I'm not hungry. I'm not. So even though I know, I don't feel hungry, it's just those old habits die hard of, if there's something in front of me, I think the wanting to try it, just a bite, or, something like that is gonna kick my butt. And I'm going 2 weeks after the 108 days will be over. I'm going to Jamaica. And it's my first vacation in, I don't know, 10 years. I never get to go anywhere. So,
awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited. There's plenty of fruit, but I think, there's also going to be plenty of other stuff working around. I'll be like, wow, I should try it because I'm here. So just having to be prepared for that while I am on vacation. Having to be mindful. So
you got to be very careful. One guy went drinking after a long fast, and he went into a coma.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember reading that.
I don't know, man, oh man, he's blaming the fast for him going into a coma.
Yeah, no. No, that's one thing. I'm okay staying away from alcohol. That's not a bigger thing. I think it's probably just, they have fried food and stuff. So just have to be careful not to partake in that.
Yeah. Is this your first fast?
Yeah, first of any kind. So it's been honey, hang on. I don't know. Can you ask Mom? Yeah. Okay, do you need me to walk over there with you? Okay. Sorry, we're going for a walk. I've been stalking the page for 2 years, and I've heard of people doing it, but I had not. I've never we're going to the bathroom, honey. Never partaken in anything myself. But it just seemed once I started looking at your stuff and looking at other types of fasts, it seemed that if I was going to try anything, I might as well do the best. So I didn't even stop to try the other ones. I just worked my way off all my pharmaceuticals, which was a very long list. To deal with all those things, I'm going to the bathroom, baby. And while I was doing that, because I knew that would be a process, working to save up for the tinctures and stuff because I'm on a very limited budget. So that took almost 2 years. And then I just dove in one day. So
what's your diet been like the last years?
well, my whole life I've been a vegetarian. But that really doesn't mean much. It was mostly a sad diet. So aside from, yes, it's okay, baby. It's right there. You see it? You want to wear mine? So it was mostly sad. Growing up, it was just me and my mom. And my mom did not and continues to not cook. So it was a lot of packaged, like pre-done, whatever kind of stuff. And for me, being vegetarian and being healthy, it was a lot of like bread and cheese and peanut butter. Get my protein. But yeah, mostly a sad diet crap. So I'm full. And I started with the class like day one, and still to this day, copious. I swear, it's like pounds a day. I would feel like so much. It's just endless. Like at some point, is it gonna stop? Nope, I'm still going. So yeah.
So what were you taking pharmaceuticals for? If you said you didn't have any health problems.
Well, no, for like the depression, anxiety, ADHD, those kind of things. And I used to, and there's of course the street drugs and the drinking, over the years, back in the day when I was younger, lots of those. And they was one of those people of, would pop an ibuprofen for everything. Like, oh, I can feel a headache coming. Time to take more Excedrin. Time to take ibuprofen. So, like, so much of that, even though that's just like over-the-counter stuff. But I haven't even taken an ibuprofen in like a year. So that in and of itself is kind of cool to me. And I've had, a few little headaches here and there. And I haven't done anything, and it's just been like along this journey interesting to watch. Like, oh, it took care of itself. I didn't actually have to do anything. It went away. Cool. Okay. So I don't know. You going in? Well, then you have to wait your turn, love. Sorry. I should take my daughter to the bathroom. I can't remember. Somebody just commented about putting their kid on the hybrid. I don't know who said that.
Well, the hybrid you're eating, so I don't know if you still feed your children. That's why we recommend the hybrid for children.
Oh, the opportunities. Are you skipping the tinctures? No, Ron, I'm not skipping the tinctures. I can't find it now. It's hard to like switch. I'm just on my phone. Someone in there, baby. You gotta wait your turn. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Well, my daughter in particular has like massive stuff, but they're so picky that I don't know how to get them started without. Yeah.
You mean
how to get them started? Yeah, because they won't. There's no way they would do the tinctures. There's no way they drink the tea. They won't drink the grape juice. Like I've tried, like just like hey, take a bite, take a sip. Like they're just too picky. I've been dehydrating the pudding and turning it into like a fruit roll up. Mm-hmm. And they've gotten like they'll eat the teeny tiny bit of that, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm done." But that's the best I've gotten out of them. So I'm not sure what to do about that.
slowly but surely clean up their diets. Only have fruit around mostly. Some salad,
Yeah.
their taste buds start changing.
Sure.
Different things. Like we've had parents put
Okay.
on.
And I've been doing that. Like the biggest change I've made, and I know it's in the grand scheme of things, it's minimal, but for them is put it down. I've gotten them on gluten and dairy, which considering all they would want to eat is like quesadillas and macaroni and cheese, has been like a big hurdle. And definitely now that it's summertime here, I'm in California, lots of fruits around, but even with that, they won't eat all fruit, so I'm just trying to get as much of that as possible. But I know it's going to be a long... You would eat fruit and vegetables. My daughter in the background, she goes, Mommy said eat fruit and vegetables. So, I'm trying. I just wish I could, make it go faster, which I know is not realistic.
Yeah, generally kids will gravitate towards fruit very easily. They got to change their palate.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I recognize that that's part of it. Like
the tinctures, you mix them with some maple syrup, and you got to remember you got to go by weight, so it's a very small amount for children.
Right. Yeah. I just try to trick them as much as I can. Otherwise, if they know, like, okay, like the other, blending up steamed veggies or putting spinach in smoothies. Like, as long as I don't tell them, then.
Exactly. There's many ways. There's many things you can do with children. So, have you experienced any healing reactions up to now?
Yeah, things that I didn't even really recognize as bothering me, I guess. One, and it's more like, I'll read somebody else post about something, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I used to feel that too, and I don't anymore. Like there used to be, for as long as I can remember, since I was a kid, my right ankle, whenever I would rotate it, would click, and it was never that's not a problem, I guess, but it was just something I was like, oh, I don't know why it does that. It doesn't bother me, whatever, but it doesn't click anymore.
Yeah.
My emotions have gotten, it's still a roller coaster, but those are much more stable overall. I'm generally much calmer, and I have not ever been a calm person. My gosh, there's so many things. Well, because of weight loss, but I've gotten over that hurdle of it not bothering me. It was funny because I was watching some of these Zoom videos, and a few different people I kept hearing about, they grew. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And so this morning I decided to measure myself, and holy shit, I've grown over an inch.
Wow.
And I was like, no fucking way, that's insane.
It's not
I'm
insane when you understand what's happening.
Well, I do, but it's just oh, that's cool that happened to some people. It's not going to happen to me. But no, sure enough, my whole life I've been 5'4". It's been solidly 5'4", never changed. And I was slightly over 5'5" this morning. I was like, what? That's nuts. Yeah. Oh well, there's some other personal things that I'm not ready to share, but that have, I guess, womanly things that have changed. Yeah, there's lots of little things, but I think the biggest for me, it was so much of it being in my head. It was just me overall becoming calmer and more stable to everybody around me. So that in and of itself, I'm very happy with, and just knowing that I'm not taking any of these pharmaceuticals. And there's been so many people around me who like the cancer and oh, I have this new thing and this new thing and this is what the doctor's gonna give me, and it's hard to like, yeah, you probably shouldn't take that, you should just fast, you know, like what's that line of like how much you keep your mouth shut, and just and people aren't ready to hear it.
Exactly.
Okay, I came in a few minutes. Okay. So, anyways, I'm babbling, but
No, it's great.
somebody else can talk if they want.
This is what we're here for. Hear everybody babble, you know, inspire each other, support each other. But that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, getting off pharmaceuticals, that's a huge hurdle. That's awesome. There's many things that go along with that. That's why I was asking you if you had any healing reactions. Because
I haven't. Oh, go ahead.
especially the psychiatric stuff is very, very, very difficult for people to get.
I haven't had like a, I don't know, I guess some crazy detox day where I hear people saying like, oh, you wouldn't believe what came out of me kind of thing. Aside from just like massive amounts of plaque daily. And if there were like parasites or things in there, I haven't seen them, but it doesn't mean they weren't there. You know, it's hard. It gets all lost when there's so much plaque. I can't even like dig through it all.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
It doesn't matter as long as.
Yeah, that's what I figure.
As long as you're moving, the body's dumping what it doesn't need. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, that I haven't seen like, or had, I guess, some other big reactions. So I'm like, oh God, knowing how many drugs are in there, like it's coming someday, just not right now. So I just have to be prepared for it when it comes.
Yeah.
I think just like the anger maybe has been like the biggest thing, like managing the anger.
Right.
So had to stay calm and work through that.
Yeah, well, you know, if you have the basic understanding that obstructions cause imbalances, remove out the obstructions and balance returns. It's really that simple. And it goes in physical, mental, and emotional. It's all together. You can't separate them. So that's basically all we need to know. You know, and once you're on a digestive vacation, right, you have the understanding that the soul is in autopilot. You don't have to think about it. It works perfectly.
Right. Okay. So, oh no, someone else can talk now.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing. Ranjit, we see you came. Somebody on iPhone, hello. David, hello. Demitolikas, who's that? Okay, everybody, it's hello,
yeah,
Ranjit.
Hello, thanks, Steve, for letting me know it's on. I didn't know it was on tonight.
Yeah, it was posted.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was posted on Giorgio's
oh,
poster.
Okay.
Saturday, Tuesday, Sunday, Giorgio.
Oh, sorry, I missed it. But I'm here. Thanks, Steve. How's everybody? There's lots of new faces on his Gino.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Hello, everybody. Welcome.
How you feeling?
Who, me? Yeah, look, I just think it's another day in paradise for me. You know, the one thing I want to say, since there's heaps of beautiful new souls here, is that when you're on the journey, you know, especially when you can reflect back now, Gino, that half the things we worry about or think about or concerned about, it doesn't matter. Most of it's lies. Most of it's just your mind just sort of playing games and just, it's actually detoxing, your mind's detoxing. cleaning itself out, so everything comes up to the surface, like you've always said, Gino. It just comes up.
Mm.
The rest of it's all lies, just the whole thing, how to socialise, how to do this, and what happens when, something comes out, and, just all those things. I think personally, really concentrate on the on 101 of MFS is going back to the basics of making sure you're doing the tools, doing the program, and focus on that. And I remember I did that when I first started, Gino, like I really, really focused on the new lifestyle. That's where I put my energies towards. And then the rest of the stuff, such and such comes into your mind, says, oh, I'm really, really hungry, give me some food. That's a lie. That's a real, real big lie, because the soul feeds you, not food. So food doesn't feed you. When you really realise and you know the truth, you really understand, what's really going on and how we've been so manipulated ever since we've been born. From the time you've been born, you have your mother's milk, and then all of a sudden, someone shoves a teaspoon in your mouth of baby food, and off it goes on this journey of corporation manipulation and parents being manipulated, and then you go through the system of doctors, and they tell you what's right, and then you're just conditioned, and it's really no one's fault until you come to a situation like we are here, and you deprogram, you declutter, and you let go, and less is more, and your body's just aching. Your body's just been suffered for so many years that when you go through the pain, like even now, if I have a pain, I just say, oh, you poor physical form, like you've just suffered so much in all your life that even the mind, you've just been lied to, and then you just go, wow. You realize, when you have that realization, no matter what you're going through on this journey of de-obstructing everything in your life, your mind, your body, your physical, your environment, the lies of work, the lies of just everything, then you realize, mate, I'll just go talk to a tree, because that's the only because that's where the truth. Or you come here every week. I was really upset. Not upset, but I was like thinking, I wasn't going to get my Zoom call fixed this week, but I am now.
No, we usually keep the Saturdays when we're doing Sunday.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, generally. And,
Oh, are you on a dry, Gino? Or you look you got a haircut.
Yeah. No, I'm getting ready to start again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's awesome. You're on day whatever.
No, it could be 1:30. It could be 1:30. I'm not sure. It's nothing. You're right when you said, "Oh, it's just nothing." It's nothing. It's nothing. I know what my lifestyle's going to look like. I know what it's going to look like when I turn 20 again next year. 2020. I know what it's going to look like. It's going to, I just love the fact you don't have to cook. You don't have to.
Exactly.
Think about all those things. You can actually focus on your mind to be of better service. So you don't have to focus on any of that. Like it's Like I've got as you know, 4 other sisters, and they all having birthdays and stuff. So I'm getting invited to all these birthdays in August. But Warren and I are going up to the Sunshine Coast. So you intentionally try and work out things around your life where these social occasions are going to happen, because I was so fixed on these 180 days that I wasn't going to let any personal, any influence come in to take me off track. Like I was going to do it. That's it. So determined and committed no matter what. So there's about 4 birthdays in August. One of them's mine, which I'm going to drive fast on that day. But it's all about them having cakes and, these conversations that you're not part of those ideas anymore about birthdays. Birthdays are crap, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, just think about, some people will go through whole schooling thing, like to become a chef or something. Everything revolves around food. And then, you present something like this, and their whole life is, what did I do? Like they're lost. because
Yeah.
put all that energy and to do that, and it's just a bunch of, it's a whole facade, whatever.
Yeah.
We have somebody with their hand up. Joy Sparks, if you want to speak. Hello, Joy. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Mine was just more to kind of introduce myself to the group. I've been on the Facebook group for a little while, since like last October, November, kind of watching it. And I'm excited because today is day one of round one. So trying to pass on some of that excitement for people that have been, doing it, living it, loving this lifestyle for a long time. That you're letting that your influence is bringing more and more people in, to this lifestyle. So
Who's Ranjit?
yes, definitely her. Yes, you're infectious, Ranjit. You're definitely your passion and your joy is definitely contagious. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, it's amazing to have everybody on here, and just sharing. When somebody shares, it puts that gasoline in the fire for everybody, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I was actually thinking, I think it was when Sarah was talking, and I've so my journeys looked probably different than, of course, all of our journeys look a little different. I was a vegan for 21 years, and then whole food, plant-based, and then raw. And you keep looking for that next thing, and you don't really know what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But you're kind of looking for the next thing that's actually going to get you to where you want to be. And I feel like I've finally arrived. Actually, I feel like I arrived at it 8 months ago and just had a lot of time to prepare my mind to try to wrap my life around this lifestyle instead. But I've also raised my kids a little differently. And so when I was listening to Sarah kind of talk about her kids, it is important to start them as young as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a 14-year-old, and I have and there's the little one now. I have a 14-year-old, and then I have a 2-year-old, but she's actually, believe it or not, and I'm not sure if this is just coincidence or what, she's kind of grown up on grape juice.
Wow.
So like from the time that I was done feeding her, the only thing that she actually like day in, day out always wants is 100% grape juice. And so like I've been experimenting with the plasma pudding for a little while and things like that. If I let her, she will eat a whole cup of that stuff. And she pretty much on a daily basis, except for maybe having a little bit more fat, is her diet portion is actually the hybrid. So she has 1 or 2 fruit meals a day. She's pretty much entirely grape juice. Now she likes the plasma pudding if you'll let her eat very much of it. And then every once in a while she'll have some avocado or hemp seeds or something like that. But
awesome.
I am thankful to be a part of this group, thankful for your influence and just what you've created through your experiences, and thankful to everybody that has taken the time to even like reach out and say, hey, let me know how you're doing, or hey, let's try and connect. I really appreciate that people are, if you're willing to do the work, there are definitely people here that are willing to help and to help you in this lifestyle.
Yeah, no matter what you hear out there, all the fear mongers.
Yeah, actually, the funny thing is how I got into this group. I was talking to a girl about intermittent fasting.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, you should see this group on the internet. She's like, they're a bunch of crazies. Like they're out there kind of thing. And she's like, you just have to get on the page like just to see how crazy they are. And I will admit, when you first start looking at it, because it's so radically different from the traditional mindset, I can see how she would use that word,
Yeah.
but it's just because it's so radically different and we have to transform our minds to be able to understand it.
Exactly.
Um, and so I've taken several months to, wrap my mind around that. And I'm sure it will take several months more to really make that transition. But I'm excited because I already have a calendar planning out the next 365 days of how I would like to live this lifestyle. My first goal is just 40 days, but because of listening to everybody else, I feel like it's really important that I learn how to break a fast correctly,
Hmm.
instead of being like, oh, okay, 40 days, cool, let's go back to whatever it was, and then start another round of 40 days fasting. And when reading the protocol, it's that you break the fast for twice as long as you actually fasted.
Yeah, but
So
breaking the fast is basically the best way is going into the one of the levels and following the
right.
rules of breaking the fast, right? That's and live it and love it and continue
Well, and
until
that's
your
what I'm
next
hoping
level.
is really to be like on 3 or 4 on a regular basis,
Hmm.
um, at the very least. Um, I don't know if after doing something like this, again, I'm still feeding off of other people's experiences and other people's energies. I don't entirely have my own yet. Um, but I don't know that I could ever go back to 6, 7 days of eating because I'm not sure that I would feel as well.
Nobody does if they do. After you start cleaning up the tracks, because it's ludicrous to actually eat 6, 7 days a week. It's just ludicrous. It's whoever came up with it. I don't know, corporation somewhere.
Yeah, well, likely they're trying to sell us food. So, anyways, well, thank you again for creating this group and just for what you do, your generosity and sharing with all of us. I truly appreciate it. So.
You're welcome. I'm sure there's many people on the page just looking at us like a bunch of freaks, right? And just having a laugh because their belief system will not allow them to, their programming to change anything from what they've been programmed. So it's okay.
Well, and she was actually saying, she's like, she drives a forklift or something for work.
uh-huh.
And she was saying, she's like, well, I can't be like half passing out and dizzy and hanging somewhere between starvation and plasma love, and still be able to perform my job. And I said, again, I think it comes down to a mindset, and your body will actually feed itself. Like, you no longer will even have to worry about that, which is actually the nice part.
Most people's experience, they have more energy than they've ever had. You have the few that have big challenge only because they're in a very imbalanced state and they need to work that out. But most people have more energy than they've ever had before in their lives.
Well, I guess if your energy is not all going towards digestion and huge
Exactly.
amounts of repair from the digestion that you have to do,
Yeah.
it makes sense to me that you actually would be able to free up a lot of energy.
There would be, some jobs I would be, weary about people doing, like roofers and stuff, if they've never fasted, because some people get dizzy spells and nausea, and you wouldn't want to be in a place where it's going to be dangerous if you do pass out. So you have to be conscious and understanding of what could happen. You don't have to be fearful of it. You just have to know that it could happen and be ready for these times. Get up slowly from sitting or in your bed and make sure your horizon's okay and stuff like that. Like, I got a lot of dizzy spells when I started fasting. I'm very occasional, have little ones here and there, but nothing like when I started. So, you have to be prudent in all things. If you want to stay in the fear mode, that's what people have a choice to do, and most do that, right? So
I
we know.
just feel like that's a pretty bleak existence just to live in that place.
Well, that's what most they're doing out there. That's what I see. I don't know.
True.
That's we keep going, and we keep going.
Okay.
Sorry? Hello? We lost you, Joy. Was it Connie had her hand up?
Hi, everybody. Oh no, I just wanted to talk about the kids there. I could never put them on hybrid, not right now anyway. I'd have to keep them away from their grandparents or most of my family. They'd feed it. My sister tried to give my son ice cream when he was 5 months behind my back. That's, very difficult. They have fruit breakfast, fruit dinner. I do the best I can. And then they go to their grandparents and they give them everything. And it's so difficult, very difficult for me.
Well, we can't abandon our families, but what you can do, you can control when you're there. When they're with you, you can control everything. When you're going out, you make suggestions that we're doing the best we can, and we would hope that this is the categories of stuff you can give them, and if they want to do whatever they want to do, it's up to you as the parent. But you're always in control. It's just a matter of it's challenging when you go out there with everybody else, right?
My mum thinks I need to be in a psychiatric ward from doing masterclass. Very difficult situation. Yeah.
A few people have got sent actually to mental institutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, from their parents.
Yeah, I knew that because I can see my family. Very difficult.
One guy, they strapped him, they injected him, and they fed him meat, force-fed him meat.
Oh, wow.
And he was only on day 15 or something. Just think about that.
No.
Thank goodness he was only on day 15. Because if he was on a long one, they would have killed him. Guaranteed. Guaranteed they would have killed him.
Yeah.
So this is the level of insanity that we're living in today. It doesn't get any more insane out there. Whatever. So anyway, you're in control. You can put them on hybrid as much as you want, but if you're bringing them here and there, okay, those days they're doing whatever. But at least at home you're doing whatever you can control.
But Gino, how about forcing them to do it? When they're craving, like they're only 5 and 7. What do I do? Should I, as a mother, say today you're going to be doing this? You're going to just have juice and they'll be crying. I'm hungry. I want that. What do you do? What do you do in that situation?
Well, what is all that? That's all emotions, right?
Yes.
So we have to learn to work around those emotions in other ways. You have to be creative because food is only going to numb them out, right? And then it's only going to build an addiction to that, to numbing out those emotions as they go along in their age. And it's just going to get worse and worse. And we're going to have the problems like we all have. So do you want to feed that, or do you want to try and give them some knowledge and some power where they're in control of their life for future times? So
that's great advice.
There's a lot of things you can do and work with. You don't force anything on anybody. You have to be creative and basically, have fresh, ripe fruit around the house only, nothing else. Have juice around.
Yeah, they love their fruit. Oh, they do.
So, you got to do things that if they want some, okay, here, man, look, tons of fruit there. There's your thirsty, there's tons of juice or whatever,
Yeah, they love grape juice as well. Both of my too. They love it.
So there's ways you can do it, right? You're in control.
You're inspired.
Hey, Gino.
Yeah.
I used to fast just a day at a time when I was younger for religious purposes.
Okay.
And I know that's nothing like what we're doing here in the Master Fast, but I started doing that once a month when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And I think with kids, if you kind of explain to them what's going on and just let them adapt to it at their own pace. I mean, there was a point in time, like around maybe 9 or 10, I just didn't even resist the fasting anymore. It was just part of what we did as a family. But I do agree it is difficult. I mean, I remember a lot of tough conversations, where you're at the end of fast, and at that time, my mom is making the standard Sunday meal, and there's a pan of brownies there, you just want to tear into it. But eventually as a kid, even, you can learn to fast and enjoy it.
Kids are smart.
Yeah.
We can learn a lot from them. Especially the younger. So don't be fearful of it. Just be creative. Look, get into a whole different way of looking at things and thinking, because we can't fix the problems with the minds that created them, right? We have to completely create a new mind to solve the problems. And that's what MFS is. It's a whole new way. And that's why we're crazy. So your wish is your command. Remember that. Always. Always, always. We've had people do, the youngest that I've known that did a full MFS was about, was it 8 years old or 9 years old? 108 days.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So everything's possible, but we have to do things with prudence with children. And, Master Fast Hybrid is fine because you're feeding them, right? You're still eating.
Yeah.
But, if somebody has a big challenge, big imbalances, you're not going to get very far with eating. It's got to be a little more happening. So it's a challenge with children, because if anything happens and you have to go wherever, you have to know how to handle these things. So, we're not here to discuss that. You got to find groups that can handle legal stuff and everything, and help you there, because it's such a whacked out society that we live in. You can feed your kids McDonald's every single day, and they will praise you. Bring them to get vaccinated, and you'll be praised. You put them on raw fruits and veggies, they're going to take your kids away. That's how crazy it is. That's the societies we're living in today. The Nazi Gestapos were back to the in worse state than they were back then. It's just, I don't know. I don't even like talking about it, because it's hard to believe it's happening. But we've read about many children being taken away, just putting them on raw foods. Very sad. Some of them were, forced into chemo. And there was one story of a child who, I can't remember how old he was. He ran away from home because he didn't want to do chemo anymore. He's still alive. He shared his story. He's in his 20s now or something. He was a very young teenager, I believe, or something. And they were forcing chemo on him. And he didn't want it. He knew. The children are smart. So, empower yourself with knowledge, and don't talk to people, and don't share things that you don't need to share. Over here, we're in public a little bit, but it's for children, it's always best to keep things private.
Jean, I really loved what that other gentleman, our brother, just said. Like when you set your intention when you do MFS, right? There's an intention that you come in, or there's a vision or something that you have. But the longer the journey goes, the more spiritual that it gets, because you end up connecting in source. So I think what that beautiful brother said, it's true. There's so many people in the world that actually fast for religious reasons or spiritual reasons and things of that nature. And it's going to happen anyway, because if you're going to stay on the path, you're going to be connected to that that power source anyway, and that happens automatically. But I 100% agree with you, Gino. Don't tell anyone. You just, I was just thinking about what the beautiful sister was saying, you know, with the kids and the family and all that sort of stuff. You just got to be 10 steps ahead somehow, and you know, take fruit with you and saying, you know, whatever you can, because like, but you don't want to take that relationship away from the family either. And that's where I think, yeah. And the other thing too, like what you've said in the past, you know, so many times on these Zoom calls, is that our biggest car is from our family. So that's where you're going to deal with the most of it. And the genetics are very, very attached to your genetics. So it's an interesting, interesting game in the mind. But I believe there's a solution to everything. If you are connected to that, then the soul will help you in some way, manner, or form that will guide you and give you ideas and solutions around things. It's amazing so many things have happened to me. Like I never wanted to go to a family occasion or something because there's going to be food then. I wasn't strong enough. And something happens where my husband and I are somewhere else and we're not around, or, you know, like surrender to that all-knowing, even though you can't control it. Like you can't be the one in control. You allow that to be in control. And if you're caught in situations where you're in a social occasion or you've got to give your kids over for some reason, say those prayers and say, thank you, God, you know, thank you for allowing my parents to look after my children, and they're going to do the best job they can possibly do. You know, they know, they feel that my kids eat fruit and they know how good fruit is. So it's just sort of flipping things in a way where you don't have the control, but the source has the control, and trusting and surrendering in that. I've done that reflecting back a lot, but I never even realized I was even doing it, you know, because you trust so much. Hey, Gino, like that's what you've done in your 30 years.
A lot of family interactions. And it still happens. 30 years, it still happens. It's never going to go away. People are just ingrained with that program, and they're just not going to change. It's just the way it is. You know, people choose their lifestyles through their belief system, through their program, through their upbringing, through their lineage, through their whatever. It's very, very deeply ingrained. So we do the best we can in the situations we're in. That's all we can do. It's all good. You know, when you talk to your children, you know, talk to them as adults and start teaching them, and they will come to the realizations on their own. You know, when you speak truth, it rings to the soul, to their soul, and it will make sense to them. When you speak garbage, you have to program it. You know, what's an example? You know, we've shared this many times, like when we were children, you know, playing outside. I remember with our friends, we never thought about food. Nobody ever had bottled waters with them. And my parents would call me, you know, because we had a big backyard and there was always friends over to come to eat. And no, we didn't want to eat. Who's thinking about food? You know, so we were being programmed that we had to eat over and over and over again until finally, you know, we have to eat. You know, it's time. And that program kicks in automatically after, you know, hundreds and thousands of times that you hear that, right? So if you know, start telling your children where, you know, well, if you're hungry, you know, maybe you can look at getting your energy from a different source other than food. You talk to them like that. You know, what about the sun? What about the tree? Or what about this plant? Or what about playing with that animal? And try different things like that. And then listen to what they have to say. And you will be surprised what children will teach you. So look at things completely differently, right? In every which way. Don't feel defeated or whatever. It's a challenge, yeah, but when you turn it around and you put it in the children's plate to use their creativity in their mind, you will be surprised. I've heard.
I'm just checking in tonight.
Hello.
And it seems like you're right on my topic of kids and families. I don't know if somebody shared about an issue that they have going on or not, but I can share a few different things. One is a friend who practices some fasting on and off, she's in a family where not everybody's even vegan. And so she has shared a lot about how she heals herself when she needs to. And the teenager, actually 2 teenagers have started taking on fasting themselves when they feel like they're not feeling well. I'm sorry, it's loud back here. I really do have kids, so. Yeah, and some people, a lot of times I run into people who want their kids to feel like they constantly fit in, and so want to feed them a certain way or at a certain time. But everything that I'm learning right now tells me that we have to allow our kids and teach them about how to live in discomfort or live as somebody who's not doing what everybody else is doing. And so even yesterday we were at a big public pool and they have a big snack bar, and the kids that we were with had purchased the stuff from the snack bar that we see all these other kids eating, and it was blue powder with some kind of lollipop that was blue also, and you dip it in the blue powder. And then there was another one that had a rope of some sort of tangy candy. And my kids sat there with these 2 girls eating this stuff, and they ate their strawberries and their longans and their grapes. And everybody was completely content. And it was a really good moment because we hadn't ever had somebody that up close to us doing that, and they were friends. So, those are some good experiences to share. And another was when we had gotten back from a big trip overseas, and we didn't have any food in the house. So when we woke up in the morning, we had to go straight to the store. So everybody had to get up, and some kids said, "Oh, we're hungry. I said, "Okay, well, listen, there's one place to get food. We're going to go to the store." And at the store, my son started dancing around, and he said, "You know what? I kind of feel really light right now and energetic, kind of." And I said, "Yeah, I bet you do." So, yeah, there's some neat things there, but the programming is tough, and but as a parent, you do what you can. I've learned, and sometimes there's some lifestyle changes that you can make to help facilitate better choices. So we were in a season of more scheduled activities, and we've chosen to move away from that. And I think that's been helpful for everybody to sort of dial into the same vibration level, the same energy level with each other. And even tonight after dinner, so our dinner is pretty early right now compared to other people's dinners at 8-9 o'clock at night. And so we have all this time on our hands as a family, not just one person. And so we went out to have a gorgeous walk along a waterfront tonight, and look at birds and go to a playground. So definitely takes a little bit more planning, because you're not just all focused necessarily around a meal anymore, as for the benchmark of how you spend your time and your day.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes some new thinking for sure.
stagnation is disease, so we got to keep things flowing. Right? We don't want to be stagnant in old ways. We got to always be reinventing ourselves, be creative. You know, we're not taught that to be creative. All children are geniuses up until the age of about 5 or 6, and then what? Programming kicks in, and it's all over. So there's many wonderful ways of bringing up children in a whole new way of expanding their creativity. I know Sadhguru has some schools that they do amazing well, and the Waldorfs, I don't know how those schools are. They used to be very good. I don't know what they are doing these days.
There's a lot of options. If I'm not sure again what was said before I got on, but if somebody is looking for some other ways of thinking about how children are raised and how they learn, there's a lot of hashtags on Instagram or other social media to look for unschooling, radical unschooling. And then there's a lot of outdoor groups too. There's one called Wild and Free. There's some great books out there too called Passion Driven Education. And then another one called Radical Unschooling by Dana Martin. And I try to help other parents out too, because I do find more and more that people are connecting. And even last weekend, I got together with somebody who she always felt like she was outside of the norm, and she started homeschooling a year ago, and she's been looking for more information, kind of just more camaraderie. And so we were able to share a lot, and she wants to be a facilitator for her kids without being this sort of teacher dictator, learning more about what the kids want and stuff. So we connected on that level.
Yeah, you know, there's as bad as things seem out there, they're getting better and better on the other side. So you have to have balance in all things, right? You know, there's the line of thought of people that everything is okay, you know, killing this, that, it's all godly, whatever. There's no bad, there's no good. Okay, sure. If you don't have the mindset to see there's correct and there's things that are not correct, then I don't know how to help you, because the universe can functions perfectly because there's order in a certain way of things, how they operate. And if you go outside that order, it'll be a catastrophe. So there's order in all things, and we don't want to, I don't know, you know, there's correctness in how things operate. Like, you know, killing and taking away another life is not correct. I don't care what people say. You know, being a warmonger, liar, thief, cheat, whatever, you know, these things are not in line with peace, balance, correct conduct of the ways of the universes. So we have to look at things in a different light. In this realm, we're here to experience many things, and it's a beautiful place. You know, we can live in heaven or we can live in hell in this place. Choice is always yours. So let's be the change, and have an amazing time doing it.
I don't know if anybody's talked about it yet, but I feel like that's where meditation and yoga have really started to become a strong part of my life right now, because I've taken on so much new information, and I have things that I want to do for myself and for others, but it becomes a burden when your mind still runs at the same speed it did, and you feel burdened instead of enlightened with the new truths that you understand. So the meditation and I should add breath work in there too. And the breath work and the yoga have been very helpful to start to understand just how much we need to quiet our minds and realize how we're so driven by emotion, and how to watch that emotion go by more than embodying it and it consuming us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I had heard this. I had heard a lot of these things over the past 2.5 years that I've been on this path, but a lot of times I was too wrapped up in my ego, for sure, and and I wouldn't have even said that back then. But now I can understand, looking back, having that perspective, and too wrapped up in the chaos around me, both that I had created and also that just was. And it's starting to, I'm starting to really understand how much I need to take care of my soul, to keep going, to constantly evolve, and to take care of the problems from the past too.
Yeah. You know, just reading people's posts for all these years, it's all emotional. They're speaking physicality, but it's all emotional. You know, they're focusing physicality and speaking physicality, but it's all emotional. All of it. Just, you know, look through what they're saying and you can see it very clearly. You know, they got this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem. Then you start asking, well, how's your family life? And how's your relationships? And then you see everything start coming to the surface. And they're on psychiatrics or this, that, yeah. Why are they on psychiatrics? You know, so you know, it's we have to go to this the root and seed cause. The root is easy, fast, and you clean up the GI tract. That's the easy part. You don't have to think about it. Stop eating, and then we get into the seed. Well, as we're doing these. You know, as we stop eating, we start getting to the seed, which is the emotion. That's where everything, all the emotional stuff starts to surface, and everybody starts freaking out because they've never had to deal with the mirror of truth before, right? And that's where you see people that are true to themselves will stick to it, and the others will just run the other way and start pointing fingers and blaming everybody and their mother because they're not ready to take on that challenge yet, right? And it's okay. It's okay, but it's all emotional. Everything's emotional. You know, we have it ingrained very, very deep within our programming and through our ancestors and so on and so forth. So let's learn how to work around that and strengthen it and raise the field strength so we can see some balance and experience some balance on the emotional side, because otherwise we're just going to go wacko in this fast-paced world that we're living in now, because everybody's triggered by, you know, just simple words. Yesterday, you know, somebody's, you know, telling me I'm rude and all that. Block. I don't want to deal with this stuff anymore. She's been on the page for almost a couple of years and not made any contribution to MFS. What are you doing here? I've had enough. See you later. I don't need to deal with that stuff anymore. I'm here for the few. And the beautiful souls, you know, that are shining. It's a beautiful pleasure to have you here. You know, I've been taking care of my mother for 2 years now. I don't need anybody else's garbage. I really don't. I'm dealing with, I got my hands full. If I could tell you, I really have my hands full. So it's been a big challenge that the universe has put in my lap, and I embrace it, and I continue. And I'm still here. I'm still here. So, you know, when we have our challenges, it seems like nobody can have worse challenges than we have, right? And then somebody comes along like Marin, and you go, my goodness gracious, my problems are nothing. you know, or, you know, we had a few others pretty serious stuff, but just an example. You know, it's crazy stuff, you know, crazy stuff. So anybody else? I know Ranjit, you're just waiting.
I have some. I want to say something to Ranji.
Right.
Go to blues, Ranji. Go to blues. I say.
I knew
We had our
you'd
little.
get it in. Oh, I love you. I love you. I love it.
There you go. One all we are, hey? There you go, Ranji. Yeah. But I might say, like what just Lisa just mentioned, I mean, I only got in late either here as well. But it's like the circumstances. It's funny when you live in a society, in a materialistic, consumption-orientated, money-orientated society, and then you find your way to your own health. And when exploring your own health physically as well as spiritually, you then see that this doesn't match your surroundings. It really doesn't. Mm-hmm. And the surroundings, to change the surroundings, because if you have kids, if you have a spouse, if you have a huge mortgage, if you have all these attachments that you're in before you came and have gone through and come clean with yourself, then it makes it very hard, as you can see, when you have relatives that you got to look after and so on and so on, then it makes it very hard to change the circumstances. And that's when you use your meditation, your yoga, they're sort of your harbors that you go in and you harbor yourself. And then you got to go out again into the rough weather and the rough sea to survive. And that's where I'm saying it's your own environment to start changing it there, not only from a mental or spiritual point of view, but from a physical point. And yeah, that's the daily challenge I think we all have and we all burdened with in your own circumstances. And that's why it's good having family and having or MFS and groups you can relate to, because then that gives you that extra help, that extra backbone that you need in your daily life, you know. And that's where I've mentioned it many times now. Where should we be as a society? Where should you be in your society? And then you can see that you have to stop running behind certain things because it doesn't get you anywhere. Not when you're as clean and when you get on a clean path of MFS, then it makes it impossible, because you know that it contradicts everything what you've learned and experienced, contradicts everything what's out there being thrown at you. Walk in a shopping centre. It's a challenge. It's a complete challenge. Mm-hmm. To survive and that's what I'm saying to you, that all you can do is distance yourself. Remember the Titanic. You know, does it matter if you're in stern class or in upper class? The outcome is the same, exactly the same. But you can ask for your life vest and you can ask for a lifeboat to put aside and float away. That's the only choice you have. Doesn't matter which class you're in. You can't change the course of the Titanic. It's just there, but you as an individual have the choice of jumping off and make a difference for yourself only. If other people follow like we do, better, even better. But at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. And that's sometimes impossible, really. But remember, nothing is impossible. It's only the mind that plays the game, and then it's just a matter of persistence. Sometimes it'll take years, as we said, you know, like if you want to get clean, it's not an event, it's a process. And if you can't go, and that's where you got to be reinforced and always reinforced. And that's what we're here for as well. I mean, like to reinforce each other that you're on the right path and that this is what we really have to do. Everybody's a different opinion, of course, but at the end, the direction is right. And once the direction is right, then you have time to come together and reinforce each other. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Can you imagine a world where there would be no money involved?
Well, Gina, that was here. On your continent, 400 years ago, they had that. We had it 250 years ago. It's not that we haven't had it. It's not that we don't know it. We just don't do it. We can't as a society, we can't, even if it doesn't matter what we go and vote in the next election, the system is wrong. You can only change the system. You have to change your own system and then you march on. That's the only way you do it. There's no other way. You know, like when you see how, in America, as I said before, there's 60 to 100 million Indians have lived there before the white men came in. Now, they didn't live. They had no money of payment. But you understand, remember that coerciveness. Coercion is where things go wrong. We have human traits where we always trapped with stimulation, with egos, and so on and so on. But once you can live, think about even like I read about how the Indians dealt with homosexuality. They thought that every homosexual that they had, they were privileged, that they could love more than one sex. So they put them on a privileged level, not on a, we don't want to know about you. They were actually privileged. When you read up, and that's one, I find that very inspiring, because when you go out there and you read about how indigenous people do things or did things, then you know you can relate 100% straight to it. And the simplicity of it, always. And the togetherness. But you can't do that in an 8 million city. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So we have created a system that is not conducive to doing and getting back to nature, or helping yourself on a mankind way, on a human way. It doesn't work. That's as simple as that. So you got to take that fact and digest that, and then can't change that. The Titanic, I got to get my life vest, I got to get my lifeboat, and I'm out of here. That doesn't mean that you have to separate and sever yourself, but it means you have to change your way and the way you walk. That's all it comes down to. And then, you know, yes, I'd rather sell the house, I'd rather sell and pack up and go somewhere where I then can actually live conducive to a lifestyle. But less is more, and that's as simple as that. Yeah, a good idea. But see, that barter system, there's all sorts of different other things, systems. But look, when the monetary system was introduced, if you charge interest, if you want more money than you lend out, you will have always creating debts. That's as simple as that. As long as we run a system like that, you will have, and as I said, it becomes exponential, like we have. We have exponential debts. The exponential function, it's a funny thing, doesn't matter how small the growth is, it ends up in exponential growth. If you don't stop it and don't reverse it, that's really, and see, as we do here, we only reverse ourselves. It would be nice the whole society could do it, but I've got my doubts. I've got my doubts. Simple.
Yeah, well, in the meantime, you know, we do the best we can in the situation we're in, right? And move toward maybe a new goal that we want to, a way we want to be living, and so on and so forth. There's so much you can do right where you are. You know, live minimally, live simply. You can do that anywhere. Doesn't matter, even if you're in a big city, you can live simply. You can grow your own food. Even if you're in a winter climate, indoors, right? You can grow some sprouts and so on and so forth. There's many things you can do. So, you know, it's always that, how willing are you to make the changes? That's the question you got to ask yourself. And if you're willing, everything's possible. Everything.
Gino, my perspective today is that when you clean out your channels through fasting and you operate in the higher energy fields, right? So you actually feel that, that penetrates through the atmosphere. So what I feel is that the soul and the energies that come through you, like those nice feelings, God, I am, whatever you want to call it, they want to experience this humanness that we're experiencing through us, right? So when you're tapped in, that your vibration, or your not vibration, but your fields go higher. So the magnetic pull, like on the planet, they tend to get attracted to you, or you're attracted to them. There's some sort of union or unity that happens, right? Once you're tapped in, you've got to be cleaned out. You've got to be obstructed. This is the only way you'll ever experience, I think, this. And we actually don't have to, with our mind, do anything, right? Like, we don't have to force or literally do anything. You fall into it. The only thing is that what we have to do is that we just say yes to this journey, just say yes to that, because you already know that's the truth, right? So we already know that resonance is the truth. And every time these energy flows come through you, there always leaves residue. So it feels like that recoding or reprinting or whatever happens, that you come into that stillness place, right, Gino? I hope people understand what I'm saying. So when you release the wanting to control the external, because you don't have to do it. You can do it straight through compassion, right? So you can do it through the higher energy fields rather than, because this group, for example, is an energy field that you've created through the realm, right? So this is, it's been attracted to certain few people, and we've just tapped in, and then we're just growing and expanding, and that's the limitless place. And this higher energy field is much more powerful than the lower energy fields. So the manipulators, because they own us through corporations, we actually got a monetary value on each individual in the world. So you are just a monetary value in your country in order to get more money for the country, and our monetary value pays that debt. So the way the system is organized is a system, and that's that system. So it's not a system that actually empowers humans. Okay, they think they may be empowering humans, but they're not, right? Because it's a lower energy field. So when you operate, no one can take the soul or what the soul feeds you away from you. You got that, right? Once you awaken to that, then you kind of feel, what I'm understanding now is that I can just be me, and I've rescued me, and I can walk around in the higher energy field. People will be, your attraction factor goes very, very high. So there's people that will resonate with your attraction factor, and they will either ask questions, this and that, or follow you, or they do things, or they start changing things. Like, for example, my husband did a 24-hour dry fast with me automatically on his own, and I've never told him about MFS and how it works and what it does. So what is that? See, what is that? That's you shutting up and you just being you, and then that field automatically goes to that, people that love you. It's like when I came here last year, Gina, I never knew I was feeding off the fields until the end of it, under my 108. I didn't know. So it just sort of, I feel that the right timing in the right place kind of just unfolds. Like, you have a look at all the wonderful people that are doing so much good work in this world. Just as much as there's that other crap in the world, there's the other side too, and it depends what we focus on. So I literally have just parked that. I know it's there, and I'm aware of what's going on, but I'm not in it. I've got to be in this, because if I'm not, then I'm not going to free myself. And if I don't free myself, then I feel like, well, what's the use of being human? Like, you've got to be your human experience to the fullest potential. Once you let go of the mind, it certainly becomes easier. Like, you just know, like, when you know, like, you go, that's just an amazing situation. While the world still spins around, if it does spin around, because we don't know if it does, but if the world's still going around spinning, and we have our 24-hour economic clock that we live on, now I'm going to choose to live on the moons now, because when you let go of the economic stuff, and then you realize that the patterns that are forming, that you're understanding within you, you choose to live in that. So I'm choosing to do my dry fasting and all this sort of stuff around moons and season changes, because I see it. Like you've told me so many times, do you drive fast around season change? Do you drive? And I'm going, oh yeah, I just do my drive fast when I can fit it in, Gino. No, because there's a power that's there, a source power that's there around moons and season changes. So when you don't know that until you actually experience something. It doesn't matter what people say. You feel the field strengths, but you just don't know, and that's the path that I'm personally entering into. And I feel that the more it's so interesting life, Gino. I could tell you so much about my life, just in other aspects of it, that it just it's just turned around, like that. Like you go in a year, and you go, yeah, in a year. So it's just depending on your intention and how much you surrender and trust and how much you let go of the mind and choose to live in the observed state 24/7 as much as you possibly can. Because and you can't. I'm doing it. If I'm living in my meditative states when I wake up and I'm functioning as a human being in this planet, it is 100% doable if you want it. Do you agree, Gino? Does anybody understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in this other world. I know. I'm in another realm sometimes.
For sure. You know, if we start looking at,
thank you.
if we start looking at things in a matterless sense, looking at things as energy fields, because everything's energy, you're going to get a whole different picture of things. It's not something that is going to come to you very easily. It's something that you have to put effort and consciously put your energy towards that. And the more you do it, the more you'll be able to master staying in that way of thought, looking at things as fields. Because, you know, what we see and feel and touch here is very limiting. But when you look at it in an energy form, you know, in all the quantum physics and so on and so forth, it's just coming out more and more, reinforcing all this stuff. As you know, in the last several years, you know, Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton, and there's all these guys have been talking about this stuff. So it's all known now. You know, it's not something that is you know, hearsay and all that. You know, it's all coming out. The more we put our energy into it, the more we will be able to master that. And gain a whole different understanding on things. You know, this is where, you know, we keep getting the simple questions over and over. I would never drink cooked juice or whatever. Okay, don't drink it. We're not using it for its physicality. You know, don't drink it. You'll stay in the physicality. We're moving on. You know, in the other realms. You know, so this is the challenge to break through. And I was an anal raw foodist, you know, raw as law. You know, you got to drink best water, you know, get over that one too. My goodness gracious. We don't need any water, and so on and so forth. So all these breakthroughs didn't come from focusing in the matter state, is what I'm trying to say. You have to create the different mind than the mind that created the problems on this planet. And that's what we're saying. So if I'm getting the message through or not, it's not something that's gonna just happen. It's gonna take effort, you know, and this is where we have these groups, right? And keep reinforcing this stuff and keep talking about it and see what you're being able to download through your digestive vacations, because it helps us more understand and relate to what we're downloading and see where the synchronicity is and so on and so forth. And we strengthen each other as we're being that change. Because, you know, the strong field strengths are going to feed the weaker. It's just the way it is. You can't stop that. And those weaker fields will be taking on this beautiful knowledge, and little by little, it'll be starting to be spewed out. You know, garbage in, garbage out of computer, good stuff in, good stuff out. So we're as we're living and being the change, we're reprogramming the whole planet. That's the way I see it. And it's not easy in this planet, but if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So that would be boring. But at the same time, I pray that we see a massive transformation on this planet, just that shift, because it's not going to happen gradually. It's going to be a shift where everybody's going to be, whoa, what were we doing all this time? Why were we killing each other and everything? You know, that's the way I see it. It's going to be something major that's going to be a shift. And, you know, it would be nice to experience it. If we don't experience it, and if we're off to the other planes, it's okay as well. But it would be something remarkable, I think, that would be about on the whole globe. You know, I still believe it's a globe. I don't see straight lines in the universe. Whatever it is, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, but we are so powerful, Gino, like our light within us. Oh man, it's just the empowerment that you feel is incredible. Like, you know, like you do your jiu-jitsu, don't you? So you know how to, when you need to use your power, you can use it. But you walk around in it every single day in that power of knowing that you've got that. And no one touches you. Like, this is what I find now, like, no one can even, they can't penetrate through you because you just, it's like you don't know everything. You can never know everything, but knowledge is still given to you, or that remembrance is given to you, and that's what you walk around with, and you don't even have to even know. Like, it just happens automatically, you know, and that's just an incredible empowered feeling, Gino. I know many of us may walk around with it. We have glimpses of it when we're in it. You know, we have glimpses of when we feel free and we're in our empowerment and we're so cleaned out in our channels. And this is where Master Fast System, you know, people do think we're crazy, and that's okay, because that means we're doing the right thing if we are crazy. Because I'll tell you what, I'd rather be crazy in the soul than crazy in the mind, because the crazy in the mind is just absolutely ludicrous and imprisoned. Your mind is so imprisoned and the suffering is so intense that you can't get out of that vortex. Where once you clean out your channels and the obstructions, that you feel that freedom, like you feel it. So you have that sense, that residue. So you know there's something, you know, really good about when you come into this realm. And even with the juice, Gina, I remember, like, I didn't even care. Like, what? I didn't come from Dr. Moore's stuff or anything like that, so I didn't have that knowledge, but I didn't even care. Like, I'm thinking, yeah, juice, you just drink it because it's just flushing it. It's the liquid drainer. Like, that just made logical sense to me. Liquid gold juice that you know, that grape that you use as washing your internals out. It's just a different perspective. It's got nothing to do with what sugar's in it and what where it come from, like, you know, and it's in a plastic container. If you're worried about plastic container, go get a glass container. Like, I'm thinking, you know, if you're worried about you staining your teeth, my God, who cares? Like, it's washing you, you know, continually, that grape juice. I can't live without that grape juice. I just need, I have to have it because I feel it wash out. When you clean, you feel, and then when you go to it helps you to do your dry fasting. Like, you know, this is a glorified dry fast, as we know. And that's where it all happens. It happens in the dry fast. So if people want to know about my cranial thing that happened, it all happens in the dry fast. Everything happens in the dry fast and around moons. That's my pattern that I'm forming. It's forming, but I don't know what I was talking about. But anyway, yeah, I just think, yeah, empowerment. That's right, empowerment. So when you have empowerment and then you go to work or do something, like your eyes are different. your eyes are so different. You see different things, and you pick up on different things. And instead of going and having lunch with your workmates, go hug the tree outside. You know, you just do different things, and you see things that you never seen before. Like you see the bird, you see, you know, a flower blossoming in slow motion. That you go, wow, that for me, and then it is for you.
Yeah, like in
I can talk for hours, so I better stop.
the dry fasting is where everything happens. It's just because we're in the slow motion realm, you see the effects coming after, right? But you're being fed, you're being hydrated, you're being built. Everything's happening in the dry. And then after, you know, days, weeks later, you start seeing the effects of that. You know, just another woman shared, she left, but she grew over an inch. You know, it's just awesome and amazing what can happen when you start dwelling into soul, because that's what we're doing. All the stuff that we're using physically, it's there because we need that for our physicality, because we've been living a bastardized physicality for so many decades or centuries or whatever, and we're paying the consequences of that. But the fasting is first and foremost spiritual journey, period. Done. You know, physical stuff is easy. The juice, you know, cooked juice, in 3 decades, I've never seen anybody promote pasteurized juice. Never. And I've been at this for 3 decades in the health field and raw foods and fasting. So never, never, never. Now, because of what MFS has put out there, I'm seeing all kinds of people promoting cooked juice where I've been, you know, criticized this, that, and the other thing. They've come to MFS to just take, because they had an agenda, right? And they're promoting cooked juice outside of the realm of MFS. How wonderful is that? It's wonderful because the information has penetrated these people, but they have an agenda. And the agenda is to lead people to be liars, thieves, and cheats, which you know where that's going to be. And that's okay. We can elevate their souls. You know, I don't know why people are promoting cooked juice outside of MFS. There's only one reason. Because it's never, ever been done in my 30 years of doing this fasting type of lifestyle. But that's okay. We know where we're going. And we'll focus on the few of the few of the few to be the change that we want to see and make this place a little bit better than we left it. That's all my goal is. You know, with all the struggles and challenges that I've had and many others have had in their lives, and the pain and suffering and the misery we've been through, it's all wonderful because we know we can turn it around at any time we choose. And that's the magic of intent and emotion. The physical stuff, the fasting is the easy thing, the simple thing to do. It's when we go back to the eating, we're going to have challenges, and that's why our support group is so crucial and so vital, because the monkey mind comes in, and all that fear-mongering stuff starts to play when you break your fast. And that is something that nobody is ready for, to deal with that, because they've not experienced that. So that's what we work on over and over and over and over again. And the best way is to choose one of the new levels to live continuously on, and never ever go back to more than 5 days a week eating. Never, ever, ever. You know, part-time breatharian, whatever you want to call it. Tap into that alternative energy sources, which are infinite, so we can start to see things for what they really are. Food does not give you energy. If you have done any length of MFS, you will start to gain that understanding that food doesn't give you energy, especially when you go back to eating. It's a real shocker. My goodness gracious, why didn't the food feel like that before? Because you were in a numbed out state, all plugged up. No feelings. Your feelings have awoken. You know, your sensations have awoken, and they're giving you feedback now. And you can choose to listen or to numb them out again. Choice is always yours. If there's anything else,
I have a couple of observations I wanted to share.
sure.
So I was going through some pictures from my trip to Costa Rica last year, and at the same time I've been going in and out of several days of MFS and then eating again, and I've started a new practice, which is if I'm going to eat, I need to make my food and then leave the kitchen area and go eat it and only focus on the food, not read, not watch anything, and bless my food first. And I realized just how what I was doing, which was eating at the kitchen counter constantly for years. It goes back before MFS, just constantly eating and filling my face with whatever I put my hands on, and I homeschool and take care of my kids, so I've always been around so much food. And but anyways, so I was having this experience now of blessing my food and having to eat it in, you know, in a state of just doing this one thing. And I thought about the Costa Rica thing because I saw these monkeys eating, and the monkeys, they just ate when they ate. They didn't groom each other at the same time. They didn't go do something else while they were eating. They just would eat, and then they would move on and they would do something else. And I thought, my gosh, what an unnatural state that so many of us are in. We always need to be doing 3 things at once almost, but especially with food, it's that we're watching something, we're reading something, and or talking with somebody, having a social encounter. And so it really is sort of a return to nature when you just go back to focusing in on that. And then my other observation I wanted to share was that I had this really great dry fast. It was my best 3-day dry, 86 hours. It's almost 4 weeks ago now. And I had such incredible moments of calm and like a bodily calm and a light. I just felt such a lightness of my being. And I want to say that when you're in other states, whether it's eating or on the juice, what I have found that comes close is these moments in your meditation, if you can practice it. And then what happens is then you can take those moments from both the meditation and the dry fasting and then try to reconnect with them in the daily reality that we all end up facing. Daily, hourly, by the minute, whatever it is, that challenges us. And we could try to embody those moments of stillness and purity and clarity and calm and peace. We could try to bring that back into our lives. And so I didn't know the application of either of these things before. Meditation, I've only known the past 4 weeks, really. Dry fasting, I've known a bit longer, but I feel like maybe it's starting to make more sense than it ever has. So these are the 2 observations that I wanted to share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the more we live it, the more we love it, the more it comes to light of what it actually is. That's why we keep saying the answers are in plain sight. They pop up. The more you do it, the more you'll gain the understanding of what this is all about. And the dries are magical. But you know, on full MFS, unless you've been master fasting, actual master fast for at least 2 to 3 years, we don't suggest you push your dry fast on full MFS. Do it when you're eating, you know, because it's just very, very powerful. And people think they can handle it. We've seen many disappear that pushed way too much because they wanted to be a hero. And they're nowhere to be seen anymore. They're just, you know, pointing fingers and whatever. But you know, the season change. If you dare, you can go for a 5-day on a full MFS. I wouldn't go much more than that on full MFS. But it's very, very powerful. Very powerful. When I was in Italy, I did my first day 12-day dry fast. I started the master fast with a 12-day dry, and I did 42 days, if I recall. And was it 20 of the 40 days? It was 20. I don't remember now. 25 or 27 days were dry or something. It was an amazing, amazing, amazing experience that cannot be shared with the English language. I look back and watch the video once in a while to reflect back on the state I was in, because coming back here and taking care of my mother's been a big, big challenge. So you know, we all have challenges, guys. We all have challenges. Just we work with and do the best we can in the situations we're in. None of us are perfect. We're all going to fall here and there. Who cares? Just don't do anything stupid, especially when you break a long fast. Don't be very prudent.
Gino, hey Gino, just with that experience that you had in Italy, is there anything that you really can, I don't know, express that feeling in that moment?
It was
like, is there any? I know it's really hard.
It's the simplest thing is I got into a state where I had absolutely no desires at all. I was completely content of just being. You know, it was just amazing. It was amazing. It was just I've never ever experienced that prior to that time there. And you know, now after experiencing that, you know, even in getting to the short fast, I can get into those states. But that was just something extraordinary. It's like an amazing, blissful state. Some mornings were very difficult to get up, but once I started moving, bang, it was just back into that state again. And because when you're in these long drives, there's lots going on, lots, physical, mental, emotional. The cool dips were unbelievable. They were very addictive, very addictive. I was riding my bike up hills, bigger than hills, you know, 5 kilometers straight up. And it was a little bit challenging, but I did it. And it was just awesome. It was an awesome, awesome, awesome experience. So, you know, everybody can do that. It's just how much commitment, patience, time, and effort are you willing to put into getting to that spot? If you want to be a hero and do it tomorrow, good luck. Yeah, maybe one person, 1,000, 10,000 can do it. A lot of people are going to hurt themselves trying to be heroes. You know, I've been at this 3 decades and I'm still learning, still got lots to be revealed and so on and so forth. So there's no rush in this, no rush. You can't push it. You just allow it to happen and unfold, and let the soul do its work in autopilot. It's just amazing. But that feeling that you can get into is there's all the money on the planet cannot buy it. Let's put it that way. That's a fiction. And when you're dealing with a spiritual journey, it's just, that's why we're here. The physical stuff, yeah, we can enjoy it, and it's all good. But when you connect with Source, it's just awesome. And I wish everybody can have a taste, and because instantaneously the killing and the murdering and all that stuff would stop, because it's all mirrors of ourselves. Everybody, all the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, all the people, it's just we're just all one big happy family. We're all part of each other. The warmongering has got to come to an end. Has to come to an end. There's the planet's not going to sustain itself much longer if we continue where we're going. It's just not. The oceans are becoming, overburdened. Lakes, rivers, streams. It's just amazing. If if the Indians, the Aboriginals were running the planet, you'd still be able to drink out of every stream on this planet with no problem.
Yeah, Gina,
Hey, Gina.
Yeah, sorry, John, you go.
I was going to say, oh, no, I was actually thinking about Inga. Inga's on me. So I know Inga's been on holidays and things like that. And I'd love to, if we can I want to hear your voice, Inga. Haven't heard you for a while. Sorry, Haley.
1 second. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Well, how are you all?
Awesome.
Good, good. I just want to say something. I was feeling in to say it or not, but I just want to share. As you know, something is every week unfolds within me. And what I see when we share, we live, there is beautiful saying, let go your past. Okay? Don't allow to come off and let go. Don't live it. But what we do, what I see now, we all the time comparing what has happened, whatever, 100, 200, 1,000 years ago. But when you look nature is moving. All the time is changing. And so are we. We are coming for experience and we moving. We chose to experience what comes. And rather than go back what was, whatever years ago, live now and accept. And what we experience, what we created in our own mind. There is no one, if you have listened to there is no one to blame. I feel my heart is so sensitive. I feel for every single being when they suffer,
but I can see they have been given out so much, whatever, anger, not probably enough in English words to say, and then what happens, it comes back to them on some certain time of life, and it is not pleasant feeling to go through, but it's experience what you have been given out. Even nature, you know, we concentrate on nature, like how much we bombard, but truly, when we look at nature will survive without us or with us. But what happens, what we give out, nature will gonna give us back. Nature will teach, nature is teaching us. That's all it is. So it's children. Children is teaching us. And what I recognize is when we have that little child, he came to teach us, but we not open to receive that. And what we do, we teach our children rather than guide. And that's where is, I would say, that biggest confusion and these biggest challenges we experience in life, because we're not allowing them to why they came on this earth and planet, what purpose. Because we are, I don't want to even say any more program, because by program, we again limit ourselves. We chose actually, the program, the addictions, I wouldn't call addictions anymore, because it's another really strong word where we hold in ourselves in. When we let that go and we allow experience, whatever comes at that moment in time, then you will feel in your body, because you come more in tune, you come more in tune with nature and with yourself. And then slowly and surely that will gonna go. And you're gonna open more and more. Life is so simple. We make so complicated. And money, there was mentioned money as well. Money is really big, strong energy where we are attached and we don't want to let go. When we let go, doesn't matter we have €100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000, we have enough. We can live whatever we have at that right moment in time. You know? And I love, Gino, I don't mean anyone bad. It's just, as I say, just that's what unfolds within me. I have no thoughts in my head pretty much. I wouldn't say 24/7, but it's so little. There is no that, you know, the mind runs. It's silence. It comes that whatever unfolds, and then just, that's why I don't meditate. I am in meditative state pretty much all the time now. And I honestly, the deepest gratitude to all of you. Absolutely.
Awesome, beautiful.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, I just wanted to say I am so grateful. So grateful. There have been a lot of things I wanted to say throughout everybody talking. And I just now figured out how to unmute myself. But
you can ask. Yes.
I know I should have. But anyway, I just want to say how grateful I am. I feel like I've been led to this group my whole life. And geez, I'm going to cry. That's weird. But anyway, I could just talk to all of you individually for days. I just love listening, and I just want to say how grateful I am, and that's all.
Awesome, Susan.
Thanks.
Yeah, you know, because, you know, out there, you can't discuss this stuff. People think you're wacko, right? It's just, it's not the norm out there. It's, like I told you, I've been doing this 3 decades and still I get haggled from family and stuff. It's, they just don't get it. It's not going to never happen, I don't think.
As you know, well, if you might not know, I'm Petey Magoo on Facebook. And so I just posted how my mom just was in tears about me this fasting because I lost so much weight. And I gave in to her, and I just thought, I wish I hadn't, but I did. That's just, I mean, I'll just keep doing it though. I mean, I've already feel like this is a lifestyle. Like, I can't imagine not doing it. And it just feels so good and enlightening. And I grew up, Scott, fasting as a child, well, since I was a child, to fast every once a month my whole life for 24 hours. Well, we were supposed to. I didn't always do it for 24, but anyway, and I don't know, I get a whole different sensation from fasting now. It just gets better and better and better, and I just can't wait to fast again. And I pushed myself a little too hard several times, and I learned. But I just keep learning and growing, and I love you guys.
We love you too.
Yeah. Much love, Susan. We're all learning. It's just, nobody has all the answers, but this information that, you know, came to us, it's so profound, and the things that we've seen happen, you know, we know what to do now, and that's all we need to know. We don't need to know the who, what, where, when, why, how, and all that intricacy stuff. And it doesn't matter. We know what to do. You stop eating, and we use all these tools to help us get through these difficult situations when there's obstructions that are having a challenge coming out. That's all we need to know. It's that simple. That's all we're doing. The tools really help. They really, really, really help. Because blocked energies are not something you want to be having around when you're in fasting. It's not pleasant. You know, that's why I ended up in bed for 2 years. I didn't understand this stuff. You know, and we see people taking their risks, and some of them make it through and some of them don't. They have, and then they want to be saved because they didn't listen. So we're dealing with the same stuff over and over and over. We're dealing with humans, people. Everybody wants to learn the hard ways, I think, generally. But it's all beautiful. Hans, you want to say something?
Yeah. No, look, I mean, things have been said. Just with Lisa now, when she brought in how animals only eat, and they do nothing else. But it's that actually that connection. I mean, like, you can always look anywhere into nature, and nature always does it on a purpose that is beneficial. Where we do a lot of things that is not beneficial, or benefits maybe a few. But it's that connection and that looking. And that's where, you remember what I said before, we have a system in place, and the biggest challenge, or the biggest downfall we have, there's no alternate. I mean, there is an alternate, but it's not only an alternate, it's the only system that should run, and that's nature. That's the only other system we have. We have the man-made fantasy, and then you have nature, remember? And that's where you choose one or the other. You cannot live with fantasies in nature, because then you change everything, and that's what we've done. You see, but I think that's part of us going out of this world anyway, out of to destroy ourselves. I think it's a given that we have to destroy ourselves, or that we will, because of what we do. But I'm just saying, for us, or for myself, because you always got to start with yourself first, and that's where I only see, and that's why, like when Lisa mentioned the point, and I see so many other things that you go out there and it all runs by itself, and it all runs on a I don't know if it's a law or whatever, on a way that it is beneficial, that it, you know, it's a circle, and you come from and you go back to it. And I think that's another thing, that connection of that. Once you sever yourself of a lot of fantasy, it's impossible to sever yourself from all man-made fantasies. But if you reconnect and retune, answers are in plain sight, as we know, you know. And that's just the only thing that I sort of wanted, because Lisa just got that point in me that when she said, you know, and I'm fully aware, because yes, enjoy your food and do that, and do one thing at a time, and not 5, 6 points at the same time, because that, yeah, I find that destructive, not constructive. It's destructive, really. That's what it is. But again, it's a point of realization, and then can we change it or not? That's the other thing, you know.
If we look at all the evidence on this planet, it looks like humanity came here to destroy this planet. Right? That's the sole purpose. Look at the evidence. It's all around. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's time. We see it's all, and that's where you can see when it comes to the exponential function, when you have a species like we are hovering on the planet for however long. See, that's another thing. We always try to quantify and codify and catalog everything. And we need an explanation for everything, which we can't. It's impossible. And that's where you can see how long people have just lived by what is, it doesn't matter what's on the moon. It doesn't matter. It really does not matter. But it's that curiosity, that stimulation that we want. And we need to know, and I need to know this, and I need to know that, and so on and so on. So they're all the things that then make us doing things on the planet that we shouldn't be doing, and the destructiveness. And when you look at the population growth, how it's exponential going, and it's, you know, has been and will go up, then whatever goes up will come down. You can't go up, 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 up. At the end of the day, it comes down, and that's it. How and whatever, I don't care. I don't even want to fantasize of how he's going to happen, but it is. It's as simple as that. But it took, you know, however long it took, or it will take even further. But at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Yes, it is destructive, because, and it's in particular, obviously, that has accelerated, you know, with white men going out, yeah, basically capturing the bloody globe and implementing industrial revolution. Now, where we, you know, we make things, we get better things, and all this technology, think about it, where it has led us. It has led, not to better humanity, better existence in certain ways of comfort, and as I said, of programming, but that's about all there is. Everything else has gone backwards and away from it. And that's what I'm saying. Eventually we'll return. Simple as that. We're doing it on choice, actually. See, we're doing it on choice because we don't eat. We don't materialistically go on about anymore. So we actually, you can be, and you have to be that change. And I think that's so important that everybody understands it. And that's why, yeah, that's where the movement comes into that. If we all spread and we all can keep going with that, yeah, it's a start. It's as simple as that, you know. Yeah.
Can I mention something?
Sure.
Yeah. About nature, yes, I would say it is. We chose to push nature away as we start to live in our minds. And eating and fasting is both equally balanced. Eating is as natural as fasting. As you look in nature have the rest time and feeding time. And what we, humanity, chose is no one to blame. Just forget the nature, and we big guys, we can walk on our own, but it's really not. Nature pushes you back.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's seeing it all, knowing it all, and then it's the doing is always the hardest, isn't it? That's really what it comes down to. But as I said, with see one thing at a time, you know, like one step. Don't look up, look forward. Don't just keep ahead. Keep one step at a time. Because you know the direction is right. I think once you tune in and you know the direction is right, you will sway a bit, but as long as the direction goes that way, don't worry about what comes, worry about your next step. That's what comes down to, that next step then. And pursue, you know, like simple as that. Yeah. Very good, thank you.
The power is in within when we're gonna stop blaming and take our power back. No one to blame.
Yep, the whole animal kingdom is a reflection of man's emotion, the way I see it. They eat each other and kill each other because that's what we do.
They have also, Gino, they came here for experience, same as me and you.
Exactly. But they can change in an instant.
We can.
Once we decide that we've had enough of that experience, right? So we continue. 3 hours again. I guess it's all. I'm fine with it. It's just people have to rewatch 3 hours. It's too bad they didn't join us. But anyway, I guess we'll call it a close for today, and
Tomorrow?
we'll see some of you maybe tomorrow with Georgios and
What time tomorrow, Gino?
1:08 p.m. Toronto time, Eastern Standard Time.
6. Okay.
So
You're up late, eh?
Yeah, I'm not tired.
Inga's always here.
I could see her buzzing. I could feel her energy. I'll go. I won't make tomorrow. I'm sorry because it's 3 a.m. Monday morning Brisbane time. But thank you to everybody. Love you and enjoy tomorrow. And I'll see you next week on the Facebook group. Bless you all. I love you so much. Bye.
Awesome.
Love yous.
I don't remember any Zooms that I didn't look forward to being prepared to do. So we continue doing it, and all is great. And we'll see you all. Ciao, ciao. On the page, and maybe tomorrow.
Love you guys.
Ciao.
Ciao.